Hello and welcome back to Tech Tuesdays with Skyrocket English. I'm Sean, your host, and today we're diving into two fascinating articles that explore the intersection of technology and business. In our first article from TheVerge.com, we'll discuss how Reddit struck a groundbreaking deal with an AI company worth a staggering $60 million annually to access its user-generated content platform. Then we'll turn our attention to Wired.com's report on how Reddit's plans to license users' posts have sparked questions from US regulators about privacy and fair practices. But before we delve into those intriguing topics, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more insightful content, and ring the bell to stay updated on all of our latest episodes. Reddit. You know, that website that everyone goes to find out if they're in fact an asshole or not. That is the subject of today's discussion. So we're going to be checking out two articles, one from TheVerge.com called Reddit has a new AI training deal to sell user content, and the other from Wired.com, Reddit's sale of user data for AI training draws FTC inquiry. So just as always, before we delve into these articles, let's check out some vocabulary that we'll need to understand before we start to unpack the contents of the articles themselves. First, we have the term user-generated content. So user-generated content is original brand-specific content created by customers and published on social media or other channels. Think of it as when you produce something for YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, or in this case, Reddit. This is something that you created, and there is this big hot topic discussion of whether or not that actually is your intellectual property or if it belongs to the hosting company. Then we have a public offering. So in this case, a public offering is the sale of equity shares or other financial instruments such as bonds to the public in order to raise capital. You can think of this as basically introducing themselves to the stock exchange, the World Stock Exchange, or in Reddit's case, the New York Stock Exchange in the United States. So when we say that a company goes public, this is what they're referring to. They start selling shares in their company. It's no longer just a private company. It's something that anyone who deals with stock purchases can get in on, basically. And then we have copyright. My favorite term, copyright. It's a type of intellectual property that protects original works of authorship as soon as an author fixes the work in a tangible form of expression. So this is something that is supposed to help prevent people from copying each other's ideas and stealing them for their own purposes.
Is there the KFC nearby?
Yeah, it's 1 block away.
Okay, I'll go check it out. Does that say Obama fried chicken?
Okay, so let's break into the Verge.com article first to get an idea of what's happening in the first place. So Reddit's big deal. Reddit has struck a lucrative licensing deal with a significant AI firm. It's Google. Just letting you know right now. The secretive AI firm that they refer to in this article wound up being, surprise, surprise, Google. Worth approximately $600 million annually, marking a shift from the previous practice of AI companies accessing data without explicit permission. This move aligns with recent efforts by tech giants like Apple to secure substantial deals with major news outlets for data access. Now let's jump into the article itself. Reddit will let an unnamed large AI company, again, Google, have access to its user-generated content platform in a new licensing deal. The deal worth about $60 million on an annual basis. Until recently, most AI companies train their data on the open web without seeking permission. That's proven to be legally questionable, leading companies to try and get data on firmer footing. It's not known what company Reddit made the deal with, but it's quite a bit more than the $5 million annual deal OpenAI has reportedly been offering new publishers for their data. Apple has also been seeking multi-year deals with major news companies that could be worth at least $50 million. Reddit made headlines for threatening to block search crawlers from Google and Bing unless it secured a data deal with AI firms, showcasing its negotiating prowess. Despite revenue growth, falling short of its $1 billion target led to a revised valuation of just $5 billion for its upcoming public offering in March. Reddit had threatened to cut off Google and Bing search crawlers if it couldn't make a training data deal with AI companies. Whether or not that's true, Reddit has shown that it's willing to play hardball before. Last year, it successfully stonewalled its way out of the biggest protest in history after changes to its third-party API access pricing caused developers of most popular Reddit apps to shut down, which the Wired.com article talks about and we'll discuss in just a minute. Reddit's year-over-year revenue was up by 20% by the end of 2023, but it was still $200 million shy of a $1 billion target it had set over 2 years prior. The company was reportedly advised to seek a $5 billion valuation when it opens up for public investment, which is expected to happen in March. All right, so those are some of the details of the deal that's proposed. Well, let's talk now about some of the fallout anticipated with this deal itself and some of the questions of its legality. So looking at the Wired.com article, Reddit revealed plans to generate $203 million in revenue by licensing user-generated content for AI projects, but faced scrutiny from U.S. regulators, including the Federal Trade Commission, regarding privacy risks and fairness in such agreements. Reddit said ahead of its IPO next week that licensing users' posts to Google and others for AI projects could bring in $203 million of revenue over the next few years. The community-driven platform was forced to disclose Friday that U.S. regulators already have questions about the new line of business. Not looking good so far.
I have several questions.
Reddit said that it received a letter from the U.S. Federal Trade Commission on Thursday asking about our sale, licensing, or sharing of user-generated content. Reddit said that it received a letter from the U.S. Federal Trade Commission on Thursday asking about our sale, licensing, or sharing of user-generated content with third parties to train AI models. The FTC, the U.S. government's primary antitrust regulator, has the power to sanction companies found to engage in unfair or deceptive trade practices. The idea of licensing user-generated content for AI projects has drawn questions from lawmakers and rights groups about privacy risks, fairness, and copyright. So this brings up a great question. When you create something on a social media platform, does that intellectual property belong to you? Do you have rights to it to see what happens to it and how it's used, if it is used at all, besides from your own use? So I know that many companies out there in the United States, such as Google, have been kind of accused before of selling your data to different third-party companies in the efforts to help them with advertising and stuff. That's how you get all these, personalized ads and things that are thrown your way. But this seems to be a completely different thing. Now they're taking the stuff that you've created and handing it over to these AI companies to use for what end? For what purpose? They're not just taking your information to help sell things back to you now. They're going to try to create something different with it. They're using it to help it learn, but at what end, I guess? Reddit, along with other platforms like Stack Overflow and the Associated Press, is exploring data licensing deals for AI applications. However, Reddit's move is now under FTC scrutiny, although it claims no engagement in unfair practices, highlighting potential challenges in regulatory inquiries. Reddit isn't alone in trying to make a buck off of licensing data, including that generated by users for AI. Programming QA site Stack Overflow has signed a deal with Google. The Associated Press has signed one with OpenAI. Reddit also isn't the only company receiving an FTC letter about data licensing, Axios reported on Friday. Reddit said in Friday's disclosure that it does not believe that it engaged in any unfair or deceptive practices, but warned that dealing with any government inquiry can be costly and time-consuming. The letter indicated that the FTC staff was interested in meeting with us to learn more about our plans and that the FTC intended to request information and documents from us as its inquiry continues. Reddit, whose 17 billion posts and comments are seen by AI experts as valuable for training chatbots in the art of conversation, announced a deal last month to license the content to Google. The rise of AI chatbots like ChatGPT and Gemini poses a competitive threat to platforms like Reddit and publishers, prompting discussions about data ownership and fairness in licensing. While data licensing presents opportunities for some companies, concerns persist about privacy, fairness, and the potential for further consolidation of power amongst tech giants. AI chatbots like OpenAI's ChatGPT and Google's Gemini are seen as a competitive threat to Reddit, publishers, and other ad-supported content-driven business. So this could be a big reason why these companies are now jumping on board to try to sell that data off to these companies instead of just having them scrape it all without giving them any kind of money whatsoever. But the use of data harvested online to train AI models has raised a number of questions winding through boardrooms, courtrooms, and Congress. For Reddit and others whose data is generated by users, those questions include who truly owns the content and whether it's fair to license it without giving the creator a cut. Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. I think that's a bit dodgy, mate.
Security researchers have found that AI models can leak personal data included in the material used to create them. So, thinking back on all the things that I've read on Reddit and these personal subreddits, categories about whether it be, people going through divorce, parenting issues, all of that personal stuff that they've put out there for people who they believe to be of like minds, a sympathetic ear, are now going to be fed to chatbots for these robots, these AIs to use as examples. I don't know, just kind of seems a little shady to me. What do you think? Reddit is actively promoting its data licensing deals, such as the recent one with Google, to attract investor interest for its IPO. The FTC's inquiry into data sharing practices in the AI market reflects concerns about potential anti-competitive impacts on partnerships between major tech firms and AI developers. The Google deal was one of a smaller number of data licensing wins that Reddit has been pitching to investors as it seeks to drum up interest for its shares being sold in its IPO. We expect our data advantage and intellectual property to continue to be a key element in the training of future AI systems. Tapping the service's data would provide valuable new information without being specific about its uses. Google will now have efficient and structured access to fresher information, as well as enhanced signals that will help us better understand Reddit content and display, train on, and otherwise use it in the most accurate and relevant ways. But what are those ways? They're not saying. The FTC had previously shown concern about how data gets passed around in the AI market. In January, the agency announced it was requesting information from Microsoft and its partner and ChatGPT developer OpenAI about their multi-billion-dollar relationship, which I have a video on if you'd like to take a look, when it deals with Microsoft and ChatGPT in the Elon Musk lawsuit. Amazon, Google, and AI chatbot maker Anthropic were also questioned about their own partnerships, the FTC said. So Reddit has expanded its data licensing endeavors to include AI-related purposes, recognizing the value of its content in training chatbots like ChatGPT and Gemini. Despite potential regulatory scrutiny, these moves aim to monetize Reddit's vast content repository as it prepares for its IPO. Reddit has been licensing data to other companies for a number of years, mostly to help them understand what people are saying about them online. So again, using data for market research. Researchers and software developers have used Reddit's data to study online behavior and build add-ons for the platform. More recently, Reddit has contemplated selling data to help algorithmic traders looking for an edge on Wall Street. Now this is starting to get a little shady. Licensing for AI-related purposes is a newer line of business, one Reddit launched after it became clear that the conversations it hosts help train up the AI models behind chatbots, including ChatGPT and Gemini. Reddit last July introduced fees for large-scale access to user posts and comments, saying its content should not be plundered for free. So this is that thing that we were talking about where they started basically saying, hey, if you're trying to take our data, the stuff that we have hosted on our site, you're going to have to pay. Fortunately, that move had the consequence of shutting down an ecosystem of free apps and add-ons for reading or enhancing Reddit. Some users staged a rebellion, shutting down parts of Reddit for days. The potential for further user protests had been one of the main risks the company disclosed to potential investors ahead of its trading debut expected next Thursday, until the FTC letter arrived. All right, so through this expose of Reddit's practices, we're learning a little bit more now about how AI is kind of getting in on this whole data purchasing, data sharing thing. And while in the past, they still are kind of alarming, but these practices by third-party companies to purchase your data so that they can sell you things has been very questionable, and it's something that the EU, for example, has stood up for the rights of their citizens and pushed back on. It's still something that's kind of seen as problematic throughout the rest of the world. And now we're seeing that your data is not just being pulled for marketing research, it's to basically feed these AI systems, this generative AI. But to what end? What are they doing with that data? Nobody really has an answer for it. They're saying they're feeding it to it and helping it learn to communicate, to learn actual human language patterns. Okay, so then why don't you then hire people? Instead of going to a site like Reddit where people air out their dirty laundry, am I the asshole for doing this? Or I was married to my wife for 35 years and now I'm going through a divorce. What do you guys think? All this really personal stuff, and they're just buying it from Reddit to feed it to their machines, instead of saying, hey, we like your input. How about you create some content for us and we'll give you a little bit of money. And then, we can use that then to feed to our AI. So again, it's kind of like these content creators, these people who are just users on the platform, are stuck in the middle of this struggle for money, for income. And what do you think? Do you think that people who create content for social media have a right to basically say what gets done with that information? And if it's sold, do you think that they have the right to receive some kind of compensation for that? And that's a wrap for today's episode of Tech Tuesdays. I hope you enjoyed our discussion on the latest tech and business news. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. I want to hear from you. Share your thoughts and insights in the comments below. What do you think about Reddit's licensing deals with AI companies? And how do you feel about the implications for privacy and fair practices? And don't forget to visit skyrocketenglish.com.br for all your business English needs. Whether you're looking to sharpen your communication skills or just stay updated on the latest trends in the business world, we've got you covered. Plus, if you missed any of our previous Tech Tuesdays episodes, be sure to check them out for more fascinating insights into the ever-evolving world of technology. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep learning and keep polishing those business English skills. This is Sean signing off. See you in the next episode.